Welcome to Tammy and Friends, Texas raised, Jesus saved, loving all things cheetah. I cannot wait to introduce you to my guest today because what we're going to talk about, you're going to love listening to. Matt Fore is going to talk about 5 ridiculously easy things to make us happy. And you know what? God tells us a merry heart does good like medicine, and the joy of the Lord is our strength. So, in the times that we are in, I love to introduce you to my guest who kick things up a notch. So, let me just tell you a little bit about Matt. Matt's coming to us from Tennessee, another Southern guy. Yes, he is also a humorist, a writer. He speaks on the stage. And one of the things that I found very interesting about him is that he is a sleight of hand fanatic. He also wears a size 11 shoe, but sometimes he will try to cram his foot into a 10 and a half if he really likes that shoe. And I think most of us have done that kind of thing, when we wince and wiggle till we get out of those shoes. So today, with no further ado, I want to introduce you to Matt Fore. Hello, Matt. Good
Hello.
to have you here.
I'm so glad to be here, and thank you for giving details. I think it's funny when people say, tell us all about yourself, and then you end up telling them stuff that they don't want to hear, like what kind of shoes you wear. I just think that's hilarious.
We got to get real. You got to get down to the little things
Yeah.
that makes you real and makes you connect with other people. Let me tell you one thing that makes a lot of people happy, Matt.
Okay.
You have been a speaker on Carnival Cruise Lines.
Well, I was an entertainer on Carnival Cruise Lines doing comedy magic. They don't
Ah,
really care what you have to say. They just want you to get up on stage and make them laugh and have a big time. So that's what I did for Carnival Cruise Lines and the Magic Castle out in Hollywood, and a bunch of TV
yeah.
shows and corporate events and church events and stuff
Well,
like that.
I think that's extremely interesting because I know before the pandemic, my husband and I used to go on cruises quite a bit on Royal Caribbean, and
Yeah.
we loved cruises because we got away from everything and we just had a good time with each other. And
Oh, yeah.
I want, yes, I want you to tell my listeners today, Matt, about 5 ridiculous things that can make them happy.
It has to be ridiculously easy, doesn't it? Because people are so busy. And I heard a guy talking about business, and he said, we try to give people things to do, and when you give somebody something to do, it's like handing them a bowling ball. And maybe they can hold that bowling ball, but if you give them another one, that's about all they can do. And you give them another bowling ball, and they just go forget it. So I thought, why not write an article about things that are ridiculously easy to do to make you feel happy? And, I, as a writer for entrepreneur.com and success.com, I would write these articles for them. And it's not unusual to get maybe 800 or 1,000 shares in one of those because they are national, online publications. But I wrote this article and it got 1,000 shares, and then we looked and it had 5,000, and then 14,000 and 19,000, and it kept going up until there were 35,000 shares. And what that told me was we struck a nerve right here because people are looking. They're looking for. I mean, there's so much stress in life, and we need a break. We need a way to feel happy and just to feel productive in what we're doing, but without adding a lot of work. So I'll give you one of them. You want to hear one?
I want to hear every single one of them because it makes
Well, okay. I have to be careful that I don't start preaching. But one of the things that you can do every day is to do affirmations. Like when you wake up, and I'm actually doing a webinar this coming weekend. And one of the things I'm talking about is how the subconscious mind just feeds us information all the time. And most of the time it's negative because we're saying, I'm not ever going to get out of debt. I've got this habit. My family's all had this habit. I'm never going to get better. I've been sick. I feel bad. I'm not that smart. And we believe this stuff because the subconscious mind can only give us what we give it. But if we will deliberately feed ourselves these affirmations and just say what God says about us, you can do that when you're laying in bed before you get up. You can just have, like, I have like little cards, and you can just have 3 or 4 affirmations and you just say them out loud. And it comes out of your mouth and it goes into the air, and you just let it sit there a little bit, and then it soaks down into your heart. And it's the strangest thing, because when you first start saying affirmations, you may not necessarily even believe them. But the more you say them, the more you believe it. And so what you're doing is you're feeding your subconscious mind, so that eventually your subconscious mind starts telling you, God will provide all my needs. God has got a plan for me. He will overcome. If God be for me, who can be against me? You start feeding yourself affirmations, and it just does something to you on the inside. It's really hard to be negative while you're doing positive affirmations.
That's exactly right. And I love that, because you said before you even get out of bed.
Yeah. Or
It's,
just when you get up, before you get out of bed, or just have them right there, and you just say those things out loud. I've got a list of things that I'm saying right now out loud 3 times a day,
yeah,
and it'll work on you.
right.
Yeah,
Right. The power of the mind. The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy.
that's right.
And if he can break us down to where we think that we have no value and no worth,
Yeah,
then, oh, he's kind of like a buzzard. He'll pick us apart one painful piece at a time.
that's
So,
true.
affirmations, I totally agree with that. What is another one, Matt?
Well, another one is to give.
Oh, yes.
You know what? When you give, this is really an interesting thing, that when you give to people, your your nervous system actually creates those feel good hormones. It's that euphoric kind of feeling. And I'm not talking about passing out $100 bills. I mean, that does create euphoria, but not for you. But when we give to people, it actually makes you happy. The Bible says it's better to give than to receive, and that sounds like just a wives' tale, or just a nice thing to say. Sometimes it takes thousands of years for us to find out that it's really a true scientific fact,
That's
that
true.
it's better to give than to receive. So you can give a compliment, you can give encouragement to somebody. You could bring, if you're working, maybe everybody's in a cubicle and you see somebody down, you can bring them a cup of coffee. You can see a waiter or a waitress, and you can tell they're kind of down, and instead of giving them $2, you give them 10. You just do things for people. You give your time. You hold the door for people. You give a smile. If you're in the grocery store and the cashier is checking you out, or wherever you are, people just kind of have this downtrodden look on their face. And if you just say something to them, just encourage them, it's funny, because they just light up all of a sudden. They just come alive. It's like they go from being a robot to a human all of a sudden, just because you encourage them.
Yes.
And it actually makes you feel happy to give and bless people. So you
Every,
do affirmations,
yes.
and then you just start giving. You just become a giver. And you don't give to get, but when you give, you get.
That's a great point. You don't give to get, but when you give,
Right.
yeah, that is so true. And if we step into our day, determined that we're going to find a way to compliment people, to encourage people, to tell them what their worth is, to give them a smile, to open the door. I love all those examples.
Yeah.
All those examples are doable.
They're all doable, and they're super easy to do. Now,
Yes.
another thing that you can do, because a lot of us get up in the morning and we're just busy, 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 busy. We got fires to put out and problems to solve. But this is such a great thing to do. The night before you go to bed, you write out something. It's really better to write 3 things, but at least something that you want to accomplish the next day. And when you get up and after you've done your affirmations and have your quiet time, you get that thing done. You get it done. You get it done before you go and check your email and, follow up with people and put out fires, whatever it is. If you got a report to finish, or if you're going to, whatever it is, if you say, I'm going to walk a mile today, I'm going to go to the gym, or, I've got this project. I'm going to finish it up. If you're writing a book and you say, I'm going to write 1,000 words a day or 500 words a day, you get that done first. And then the rest of your day is built on top of an accomplishment.
I love that.
Instead of trying to get to the accomplishment, and by the afternoon, you've already spent your best energy. Now you're trying to catch up and you don't even do your best work. So you set aside that time first thing in the morning, accomplish something early, and then build the rest of your day on top of that.
I love that thought. Instead
Isn't
of
that easy?
procrastinating, yes, procrastinating and putting off doing the accomplishment. Start with the accomplishment, and then you're on top of that. And
Right.
the rest of the day is icing on the cake. I
That's
love
right.
that.
Yep.
All right. What's number 4?
Now you're going to hate this one.
Let me hear it, brother.
All right. I'm going to tell it. Now everybody's going to hear this and they're going to say, no, I don't want to do that. But I promise you, if you'll do it, you'll like it. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you sitting down?
I am.
Because I can see you sitting down. Just like to ask that question. All right, here it is. Number 4, eat dark chocolate.
I'm very surprised that you thought I would hate that. So I really appreciate the fact that you thought I would hate that, because let me tell you, I have dark chocolate all the time.
You do? Well, there you go. Now, dark chocolate has got something in it. You know what? I have this article that I wrote. This is the article that I wrote right here. This is just in black and white, but you'll see in the section here about dark chocolate that it has something in it that works inside your blood vessels, that makes you relax. And just like giving, dark chocolate it activates those feel good, euphoric hormones that you have. It's a rush. There are some things you can do where you can drug yourself up legally. One of them is to eat dark chocolate. Like one of them is to run, which I'm not a runner, but I don't know if you've ever been in a park and you see somebody that and they're like running. Maybe they're running around the lake and you're just sitting there because you're kind of down. But when they get over to you, they're all hyper and they're excited and they're happy. Well, why is that? Because running it generates all those euphoric feelings that exercise. Just you feel good. I hate people like that. But anyway, dark chocolate does the same thing.
I wish that I was a runner. I used to run a little bit. And then I read Proverbs 28:1 that says only the wicked run when nobody's chasing them.
That's a good point.
Let me tell you.
And we want to be biblical.
That's right. We want to be biblical. But I do know that when I did used to run a little bit, I felt better. I felt better.
You feel better.
It does make you feel like you have this huge accomplishment.
That's right.
And I tell you what, my legs might have been tired, but my brain was on peak. I mean, it was awesome. Now, at my age now, running is not something that I'm probably going to do, but I could walk fast, and that would make a difference.
It's close. Yeah, it's close.
Yes.
But 3 things that make you feel that way. One is running, one is dark chocolate, and one is laughter.
I agree.
If you just laugh and laugh and laugh, it just does the same thing that running does. Now, the thing about dark chocolate is you can only eat a small amount per day for it to be good for you. And after that, you're on your own. It's really good for you up to about half of a candy bar size. Per day. But after that, but you know what? You don't have to ask me my permission. Maybe you look at it the way you want to. Maybe say, you know what? I want to feel good today, enough for today and tomorrow.
There you go. That's the way we can look at it.
We can look at it that way.
We can justify it that way because a merry heart does good like medicine, and we all need a whopping dose. And if that dark chocolate is considered medicinal.
Yeah, Absolutely. Yeah. Dark chocolate does good like a medicine. I think that's in the Apocrypha.
There you go.
That's
Well,
God gave us
I
that
can
on the
buy
eighth
that.
day. Do what?
I can certainly buy that. And I know between affirmations, giving, accomplishment list, and eating dark chocolate, I can't wait to hear what number 5 is.
Well, number 5 is as horrible as number 4. And
Mm,
you're going to hate this. You're going to hate this like you hate dark chocolate. Are you ready?
I'm ready, ready or not.
Are you sitting down?
I am.
Okay. Number 5. And this is the last one in the list, even though there's more things, but this is the last one in the list. And the number 5 is quit. Quit. We work and work and work and work. And we need to have a time that we quit. You
Yes.
can't say, I am going to work until I get everything done because you won't get everything done. There's got to be a time. You know, I had a counselor tell me one time because I tend to be a workaholic because I've got so much to do and I'll be up early in the morning, I'll still going late at night. And he told me, he said, you need to have a time in the day that you shut it down, you walk out of the office, you turn the light off, and he said, you go do something else. And I'm telling you, that is such great advice for people that you can't be involved in this one thing every day, all day. When you quit, then you can go and have some what I call you time. You need some you time. You can't be involved in your work constantly. You've got to have time to introduce yourself to the wife and the kids,
That's,
the husband,
that's good.
to develop those relationships with people. And you can't do that if you never stop working.
That's exactly right. And I actually love that because as a person who loves what I do, it's real easy for me to become a work addict.
Right.
And so I have to totally shut down. And one of the things that I have a boundary at is I'm always home on Sunday, whether I'm flying, I don't do anything but um, I stand beside my husband on Sunday in service, in worship, everything,
Yeah.
because that is one of the things that I'm not going to work on Sunday. Another one is I don't do interviews. I don't work during the week at night because I want to spend time with him. But it took a long time, Matt, for me to get to the point where I gave up something that I love
Yeah.
for something that I love more.
Yeah.
And I wanted to love forever. And I love this forever. But the thing is, a lot of times when we get our priorities out of whack, oh,
Yeah.
everything can turn upside down. And I see it all the time, Matt, with
Yeah.
people who love what they do.
When I was an entertainer on the cruise ships, I saw these people who were entertainers and they would work these 9-month contracts on the ship and they had a fantastic act. I mean, they would go out and get standing ovations night after night after night. But you know what? That is all they had. Their entire life was that act. And so that tells you that even though you've got something great, when your life is out of balance, they didn't have a relationship with people. They didn't invest any time in other things. And there comes a time when your work, your career, your stuff, all these other things, they just kind of fade away and they don't matter anymore. And if you haven't developed your relationships, I'm telling you, I've got 2 daughters, I've got 4 daughters really, but I love those girls.
Yes.
I love them. And I want to talk to them and spend time with them. And it just that's going to be there when the work is long gone.
That's exactly right. I'm a grandmother and I spent yesterday for quite some time with my son and my grandbabies and what I thought I'm not even going to look at the text or even see who's called until I leave this place today.
Yeah.
But and that gave me that warm, fuzzy feeling all the way home. I mean, I
Yeah.
loved it because I stopped and I took the time to look and to spend time with the gifts that the good Lord has given me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because so often, as people who speak from a stage, just like you were talking about with the Carnival Cruise entertainers, often we will define ourselves by what we do. And that can all come crashing down just like that.
Yeah.
And that is not ultimately what gives us that warm fuzzy feeling that I had yesterday. Oh yeah, it'll give us this high that's awesome, the standing ovation, all that kind of stuff. But I tell you what, I would rather have my grandchildren throw their arms out like that and run toward me.
Yeah. That's pretty great, isn't it?
Oh my goodness alive, it's absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
I love that we have landed this plane on what's really important, because when it comes to happiness, the joy of the Lord is our strength.
Yeah. That's right.
And ultimately, for those of us who do speak on a stage, like you and I both, our stage has to be our altar. That's where we worship the Lord. We do it for God's glory. And we thank the Lord
Yeah.
for who we get to come home to.
Yeah. That's right. That's so true. Isn't it awesome, that God gives you a gift, like he's given us this gift of speaking and communication, entertainment. And 30 years, I've been doing this 30 years. And I am as excited about being on stage and entertaining and speaking to people now as I was, 30 years ago. Sometimes people ask me, they say, "Where did you grow up?" And I say, "Well, I didn't."
That's right. That's good. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's because what I call bullseye living,
Yeah.
because we have figured out exactly what we're supposed to be doing. Well,
Yeah.
one of the many reasons God created us, but we figured out. And that's why we never go to our job not wanting to go to our job.
Yeah.
One of the things I often say is, I may get tired in what I do, but I never get tired of what I do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how you know you're in the right place.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, if people wanted to get in touch with you, and I know you have some books,
I
would you,
do.
yes, would you tell them about that?
I will. I have got a couple of books that you might be interested in. One is called The Truth Shall Make You Laugh, which is a devotional book. It is a comedy devotional book.
I like that.
So I've got your comedy and your devotion, and what I've done is mixed them together. Now, I don't know if that's allowed or not. We're going to find out on the judgment day if it's okay to actually even do that.
Yes.
No, we'll find out. But anyway, that's a fun book. They're little stories and they're real fun and funny to read. And then there's a devotion, an encouragement, a scripture at the end of each one. My newest book is called Live the Happy: How to Worry Less and Laugh More. And that just came out a couple of years ago. And I could talk to you for 2 hours about that book. It's so encouraging. And I wrote it to be fun and funny. So it's really entertaining to read. But I have got so many things. We just did an interview series called Finding Peace: How to Live in Confidence, Crush Confusion, and Become Who God Created You to Be. 16 interviews. Interviewed Dennis Swanberg, Dr. Gary Chapman, a Christian nutritionist, a Christian psychologist, entrepreneurs, a financial guy, on and on and on. And so I have that in a package where they can get all the interviews. Really, the best thing to do is to email me, Matt@mattfore.com. You'll probably put that on the screen, Matt@mattfore.com. And just in the subject line, just type the word peace. And just type the word peace. And you could actually, if you put your name, Tammy, so I'll know where it came from, that's even better. And I will email you and just send you the links to all the stuff, to the books, we have a Facebook group. I do a little email that has funny quotes in it. So I'll get you in all that. If you just email me and just say Tammy and peace in the subject line, I'll know where it came from. And I'll just get you that stuff. You can take a look at it.
I appreciate that. And for all of you who are listening today, take him up on that offer. Find Matt Fore. It's MattFore. You got to have an E at the end.
Right.
And I'm sure that people call him Matt Fore all the time, as if he has that little slash above the E. But remember, he's from Tennessee.
Right. So it's not, yeah, it's just 4A would be much better. And I will say this too, they can go to mattfore.com/speaking. That's the site. There's video, my topics that I speak on and all that. That's a good place to go, mattfore.com/speaking.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today on Tammy and Friends, and keep doing those 5 things that make us ridiculously happy, because you know what? They sure were easy. Thank you, Matt, for being with us today. Thank you for listening today to Tammy and Friends.
Thank you, Tammy, for having me. I really had a great time.
Thank you very much.